Hello, second graders, and welcome back to Social Studies with Mrs. Miller. Today we will be talking about a very important holiday. On November 11th, every year, we celebrate Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a time to honor those who have served in our military. So let's learn more about this important holiday. We're going to read this book called Celebrating Holidays, Veterans Day. This book is written by Rachel Grack. Veterans Day is here. Americans hang flags outside their houses. They think about the people who served the country. They show patriotism at events. It is Veterans Day. What is Veterans Day? This holiday honors the men and women of the military. People give respect to those who served in war and peacetime. And here, there's a list of U.S. Armed Forces. So there's the United States Air Force, United States Army, United States Coast Guard, United States Marine Corps, and United States Navy. Those are the branches of our military. Who celebrates Veterans Day? The United States celebrates Veterans Day. Other countries have a similar holiday. They call it Remembrance Day. For instance, this is a picture taken in Canada. It says Remembrance Day, Dartmouth, Canada. Veterans Day beginnings. A peace agreement was signed on November 11, 1918. This ended the fighting in World War I. The signing took place at 11 o'clock in the morning. And this is a picture of the World War I cemetery in Flanders, Belgium. Americans wanted to remember this day of peace. They began celebrating Armistice Day. The United States changed the name to Veterans Day in 1954. And here we have a picture of United States soldiers on Armistice Day in 1918 in France. The pin here says, "Remember our veterans," and here's a picture that shows the United States. Time to celebrate. Veterans Day happens on November 11th. Sometimes this day falls during the week. People often throw celebrations on the weekend. This is a World War II memorial here. Veterans Day traditions. Communities hold special parades. They invite veterans to march in their uniforms. Families wave flags and cheer. And here is a special project that you can do to celebrate Veterans Day. You can make your very own flag. So after this lesson, if you would like to come back and do this special project, just rewind to this part of our video and you can pause on this screen to make your own American flag. Places across the world take 2 minutes of silence at 11 o'clock in the morning. This quiet time shows respect for those who died in war. Some people go to the Veterans Day national ceremony. The president lays a wreath on a special grave. A bugler plays taps. Americans thank veterans from the past and present. And here we have President Obama on Veterans Day in 2013 laying a wreath at the Veterans Day national ceremony. And here we have a picture of a bugler playing taps. Right now, could you please share with someone next to you what you have just learned about celebrating Veterans Day? What have you learned about this holiday? Who do we honor? And how do we honor them? And why? You could even talk about a little bit of the history that we learned about Veterans Day. Go ahead and talk to somebody sitting near you. If you're at home, you can speak with a family member. If you're in school, you can talk to somebody sitting next to you. You have 10 seconds. Ready, set, go. Okay, time's up. So here were some of the things that I was thinking. Well, first, we learned that Veterans Day wasn't always called Veterans Day. Originally, it was called Armistice Day. And Armistice Day was originally celebrated at the end of World War I. Now, we've learned that there are many ways that we can celebrate Veterans Day. We can go to a parade. There are often parades to honor our veterans, those who have served in the military. And there are also ceremonies that celebrate those who have served in the military. Can you think of any other ways that we can honor our veterans and those who have served or are serving in the military? See if you can think of another way to celebrate. Name some ideas across your fingers. Okay, hold on to those ideas. We're going to learn a little bit more and then we'll share some ideas together. We'll now watch this Discovery Education video, which will tell us a little bit more about Veterans Day. So think about what things you've already learned and what's new information to you.
Veterans Day is a holiday that honors all women and men who have served in the United States Armed Forces. It is a time to salute service people for their courage, sacrifice, and selfless dedication to keeping Americans safe at home and abroad. Veterans Day is a federal holiday that takes place every year on November 11th. November 11th is an important date that goes all the way back to World War I. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the United States and its allies in World War I signed an armistice, or an agreement, with Germany to end the fighting. In the following years, many of the Allied nations remembered the end of World War I by observing Armistice Day annually on November 11th. The day was reserved to celebrate victory and to honor those who fought bravely in World War I. But after the end of World War II in 1945, it became clear that all veterans, not just those who served in World War I, deserved recognition for their service. Raymond Weeks, a World War II veteran from Birmingham, Alabama, was a vocal supporter of a holiday to honor veterans of all wars. In 1947, Weeks organized a local celebration of all United States military veterans on Armistice Day. The event received national attention. In the early 1950s, after United States involvement in the Korean War, a Kansas man named Alvin J. King worked with his local congressman, Representative Edward Reese, to propose a federal holiday to celebrate all veterans. Representative Reese introduced a bill to Congress that would change Armistice Day to include all veterans of the United States Armed Forces. The bill was finally approved by Congress on June 1, 1954. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, himself a decorated veteran, signed the bill into law. The name of the holiday was officially changed from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. On Veterans Day, Americans celebrate our military veterans by attending parades and patriotic events. Some veterans give speeches about the heroism of their fellow service people. Many Americans visit war memorials like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., and the Marine Corps War Memorial in Arlington County, Virginia. One of the most symbolic Veterans Day traditions is the wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. The Tomb of the Unknowns is the burial place for 3 unidentified soldiers from World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. Since the identity of each soldier in the tomb is a mystery, the Tomb of the Unknowns is meant to represent all service members who have been killed in action without their remains being identified. In the solemn ceremony, the President of the United States or another high-ranking government official pays respects to members of the armed forces who have died by placing a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. This ceremony is attended by spectators, veterans, and leaders from all branches of the United States Armed Forces. Veterans Day is a time to show support and give thanks to former and active members of the United States Armed Forces. Thanks to the contributions of our military veterans, Americans are able to safely enjoy the freedoms and liberties promised by the Constitution. On November 11th, go out and thank a veteran for their service to our country.
So there are many ways that we can honor those who serve in our military. There are special organizations who support our military. This organization is called A Million Thanks. And one thing that we can do to honor those who have served in the branches of government for the United States is we can thank them. We can thank them by sending a letter. So that's something that we are going to do. Those who serve or have served in the military love getting letters from children. So one way that we can honor them is by writing them a very special letter. If you're learning from home, in your Google Classroom, you will find this letter writing template. If you're learning from school, your teacher will give it to you. Let's talk about the types of things that we can write inside of our letter. First, let's think, how should we start our letter? So there are a few ways that we could start. One way is we could say, "Dear soldier," or we could say, "Dear hero," or we could say, "Dear veteran." And we also want to think about how we should close our letter. We could close by saying "sincerely," or "your friend," or "many thanks," or "with gratitude." So before we even write the body of our letter, we're going to start with our opening and our closing. And of course, every letter begins with the date. So I've written the date up here. This is the date that I'm making this lesson. Your date will be different. So you'll write whatever date it is that you're writing this letter. And then you'll write your opening here. You'll write "Dear hero," "Dear soldier," "Dear veteran," and then you're closing at the bottom. I decided to choose "with gratitude," and then I put a comma and then my name, Mrs. Miller. Now you will write your name beneath. You only need to write your first name. Do not write your last name on this. You only need to write your first name. Please pause the video, write your date, your opening, and your closing, and then once you're finished writing those parts, you can unpause so that we can talk about the types of things that we'll write in the body of our letter. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So now it's time for the important part. What can we say in our letter? What can we say in the body of our letter? We want to write in a way that's going to make this soldier who's receiving this letter feel good. So what types of things should we write? Let's see. Well, one thing that people in the military love to hear about is you. That's right, because our soldiers are fighting for us back at home. And so they like to hear all about you. So you can start by telling about yourself. You can tell how old you are, what grade you're in. You can talk about your family. You could talk about your hobbies. Then you'll also want to show gratitude and give compliments. So you want to say things like, thank you for your service, or thank you for fighting for our freedom. You want to say things like, you are brave, or you are strong, or you are a hero. And you want to say things like, we or I are, like, we are grateful for you, or I am grateful for you. Or you could say, I respect you, or we honor you. Here I have a letter that was written by one of my students from last year. Her name is Abby. Let's listen to what she wrote. She started with the date, November 4th, 2019. And then she wrote, Dear Soldier, hello, my name is Abby. I am 7 years old and live with my mom, dad, my brother Joe, and my puppy Blizzard. He is so cute and cuddly. I am writing to thank you for fighting to keep us safe. You are a true hero. I am very grateful for everything you do and for your sacrifice. And then she signed her letter, respectfully yours, Abby. So now before you start writing the body of your letter, I want you to think about what you'll say first about yourself. As I mentioned, soldiers love to hear about you. So talk about how old you are, what grade you're in, your family, your hobbies, or anything else that you think the soldier might find interesting. Can you please practice into your hand the things that you'll say in the beginning of your letter? Go ahead right now, into your hand, whisper the things that you will say in the beginning of your letter. All right, excellent job. Now let's think about the second part of the letter where you're going to show gratitude and give compliments and say nice things to and about the soldier that you're writing to. So let's think now about what you'll say. Again, you're going to whisper into your hand. Ready, set, go. Thank you for fighting to keep us safe. You are so brave and you are a hero. I am so grateful for you. I respect you. All right, nice job, everyone. Now that you've rehearsed what you'd like to say, it's time for you to go and write this letter. Once you're finished, you can turn it into your teacher, and your teacher is going to mail these very special letters to a soldier or a veteran. Thank you for learning about this important holiday with me today, and thank you for taking the time to write to someone from our military to show them your appreciation. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.